Are you thinking about investing in Airbnb now that it's IPO'd? In this video, I'm going to explain to you what I think you need to understand to make that decision yourself. But I also will show you how we can use the Airbnb IPO as a lesson for huge future investment wins. By understanding business valuations, a company's life cycle, and where they are in it when you invest in them, and how to come up with your own investment exit strategy. Hi, my name is Miguel Sanchez, and as I continue my quest to create a technology fund and a real estate fund at the same time, I am creating content based on what I am learning as I learn it. If you're watching this video just to find out if I think you should be investing in Airbnb near its IPO, I won't make you watch the whole video. Yes, I believe you should. I'm investing in Airbnb and I'm going to explain why. You can jump to that part in the video. The sections are labeled on the bottom. But I honestly think you should watch the whole video because it's going to begin to explain how you can think about all kinds of investment. I also would really like to know what the audience thinks about the Airbnb opportunity. So if you are going to invest in Airbnb, please give this video a thumbs up. If you're never going to invest in Airbnb, please give this video a thumbs down. And please always subscribe to the channel to get more technology and real estate education. Oh, and as always, my lawyers tell me to say, these videos are for education purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. I'm telling you what I think, and sometimes what I do. It's up to you to take this information, do your own research before you invest. Okay, now that all of that is out of the way, the first thing I want to do is show you a clip of Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky explaining what people thought about his idea early on.
This is August now, 2008. Almost a year after we had the original idea, we built 3 versions of the website. There's a saying that if you launch and no one notices, just launch again. So we did. We launched 3 versions of the website. By the 3rd version, it was the Democratic National Convention. All the hotels in Denver sold out. So we had this idea, what if we, basically got all these Obama supporters to open up their homes to other Obama supporters. We launched, and I remember the day we launched, we had a meeting with a well-known investor, and the site was down. I didn't bring a slide deck, so that wasn't a super successful pitch. It was mostly just me and him staring at each other for an hour, and they did not invest. At this moment, we had about 20 investors had been introduced to Airbnb, and I mean, any of them probably could have owned 10% of the company for $100,000. Because I think $1 million, I was willing to do 1.5 pre-money valuation as like a round of funding. That was like, it just puts things in perspective. Now, just to put in perspective, that seems like today a good deal. Back then, we were interested in 20 investors. I think like 15 of them didn't even reply to my email.
Okay, so after watching that video, what we learned is Brian was willing to give up 10% of Airbnb for $100,000. He was willing to value the company at 1 to 1.5 million at the time. Valuation is a dollar value investors and entrepreneurs give startups early on to have each other understand the value they both believe the company is worth. Early on, valuations could be based on things like how many people are using the app or how much value the company will be worth once they get their idea started. This is one of the most important parts of investing in any idea, because if a valuation is too high, it means any money you put into it will be worth less. And if a valuation is too low for an entrepreneur, they're giving up too much of their company for the amount of money you're willing to give them. The way to think about this as an investor is, how much money do you think this company is worth if they figure out this idea? And where are they in that company's life cycle to justify your investment? The way to solve this as an investor is to think about how far along do you believe this company is into proving that their idea will work. If you believe it's close, and their valuation works for how much you think the company's worth, you should go for it. As you can see, Brian and his partners early on had a very tough time convincing people that Airbnb was a good idea. And this is where I see opportunity for people like you and me. Most times, innovators have a hard time convincing investors that their idea will be great. This is where a new law passed by Obama comes into play. It's called the Jobs Act. And it allows for what's called equity crowdfunding. And what that means is you don't only have to be an accredited investor to invest in ideas early if that startup goes through an equity crowdfunding campaign. I can see a day, and I will see a day, where an Airbnb type idea that needs $100,000 like Airbnb did will get it from the crowd. Us. And when they IPO, we will all be much richer. There might be one starting right now. Every day, new projects go up on equity crowdfunding websites with the ability for you to invest in every industry: technology, media, cannabis. Everything is investable right now through equity crowdfunding for unaccredited investors. The second thing you need to think about when investing in a company like Airbnb is where it is in its company's life cycle. When you think about a company, it starts with an idea and it ends on an exit. An exit is pretty much what's called a liquidation event. It means investors get paid. So the closer you are to an exit, the less risk you are taking as an investor, so the less reward you're taking as an investor. The closer you are to the idea phase, the more risk you're taking, so the more reward you're getting. So if you really believe in an idea early, putting money in it at that time has a chance for massive returns on your investment. An IPO is a version of an exit to any startup. What it means is now that company is going on the stock market and it's allowing anybody in the world to invest in it and help it grow even more. This is usually the only time regular people are able to invest in an idea. So most of the time we miss out on the huge gains of the investors that exit on IPO day. And this brings me to your investment exit strategy. So what does that mean for us right now with Airbnb? And for future great ideas like Airbnb. Right now, you have to look at Airbnb. You have to ask yourself, what do you think Airbnb can do in the next 20, 30 years? And it all starts out with the current valuation. At the time of the IPO, Airbnb was valued at $45 billion. To put that into perspective, when we go back to the early part of the video where Brian said he was willing to give 10% of this company for $100,000. 10% of $45 billion is $4.5 billion. Now, I know what you're thinking. So wait, I could have owned $4.5 billion worth of Airbnb for $100,000 early on? Not quite. Some investment funds put into their contracts, they are allowed to continue to invest in subsequent rounds. Subsequent rounds is when people invest more and more money. Airbnb didn't go from being worth $1 million to being worth $45 billion without more money being injected into the company. Every time more money is injected into the company, every investor is what's called diluted. So by the end of an exit, it's very rare that you have the same percent you had in the early stage of an investment. Let's say when you started, you had 10% of Airbnb, and by the end of it, you only had 1% of Airbnb. Still not a bad investment. That means for your $100,000, you have returned $450 million. There's no other investment types that can bring that type of return. And 1% may be unrealistic as well. Maybe you end up with 0.1%, which would equal $45 million. Again, not too shabby. And there's very rarely any kind of investment I've ever seen that can bring you that type of return. Going from a $100,000 investment to a $45 million return, that would be amazing. And that shows you the power of investing in an idea early. So let's say in the case of Airbnb, 100 people give $1,000. You each would be getting $450,000 from a $1,000 investment. That is what's possible right now through the Jobs Act and equity crowdfunding. So I highly suggest you start looking at these websites. And if you like an idea, put a couple bucks behind it because the returns can be ridiculous. So in conclusion, should you or I invest in Airbnb right now? I admit, after knowing all the information I just told you, it could feel like we already missed the boat. And it's even worse for me. As a person that has used Airbnb for many years as a host, Airbnb emailed me and a bunch of hosts and gave us an opportunity to invest in the IPO to buy 200 shares at $68 per share. And I didn't fill out the form in time. And right now, as I record this video, it is trading at $140. That means I could have doubled my money and I would have had a quick gain of at least $10,000 if I made that investment. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to invest in Airbnb right now. I have and I will continue to invest in Airbnb for many reasons. First reason is I look at Airbnb and I put my innovation hat on. And I think Airbnb is the most innovative travel company to ever hit the stock market. When you think about innovative companies, companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Tesla, these companies all grow in value tremendously, and I believe Airbnb will as well, even at that $140 per share mark. I also have a second reason to invest in Airbnb, which is I have a business that relies heavily on Airbnb, and I truly believe Airbnb will help that business grow. So why not support one of my key vendor partners to that business? And then third, since I have that business, I'm going to be talking about Airbnb a lot. So I figure, why not buy into a company that I'm going to be promoting for many, many years and watch that growth and participate in it. So again, please give me a thumbs up if you are going to invest in Airbnb, and a thumbs down if you're not going to ever invest in Airbnb. And always subscribe to the channel for more tech and real estate investing education. And as always, if you need help making an idea reality, please visit massideation.com. Or if you're interested in learning a lot more about equity crowdfunding and joining the movement, please visit funda99.com and sign up for our newsletter. And lastly, if you are a startup that's looking to become the next Airbnb, please visit metabronx.com because we have an accelerator program that may help you get there. Thanks again for watching, and remember, innovate every